The amount of things I want to talk about you. You sit down in the big pink, you come like one big buckle of Pepto-Bismol. From me see you, me see diarrhea. From me see you, me see running a belly. You stink like shit, you come like pit toilet. You not smell yourself when you walk around with the fan and the fan a blow up on everybody. No one in the blood clot camp now gonna tell you, oh, you stink. Latrine. You come like pit toilet. Stop calling me blood clot name in your mouth. Saucy Santana, you stink, you want beard. You come talk about Spice always inserts herself into everything. Bitch, I know you blood clot, you that ask what's going on and it not have nothing to do with you. Dirty Bambi, you never say you insert yourself in it.
The night was supposed to be about music, lights, and star power. But what went down between Spice and Saucy Santana will go down as one of the most explosive feuds in love and hip-hop Atlanta history. What started as playful shade at an exclusive Atlanta industry party turned into a full-on verbal brawl in front of flashing cameras and stunned celebrities. One whispered line, one deadly stare. And suddenly, the queen of dancehall and the self-proclaimed material girl were standing face to face, trading shots that had the entire room frozen. No drinks were thrown. No wigs were snatched. Just two powerhouses going at it with the kind of heat you can't fake. Fans are calling it the biggest blow-up of the season, and this time it's personal. This isn't just a storyline. It's war. It all started on a night that was supposed to celebrate music, power, and Atlanta's biggest personalities. The industry lounge was glowing with warm amber lights. The champagne was flowing, okay? And every corner was filled with laughter, glitter, and expensive perfume. This was the kind of night meant to show off, to shine, not to blow up. But when Spice walked in that room, everything changed. She entered like she owned the place. A blue sequin dress hugged her frame, matching the signature shade of her iconic hair, that unmistakable royal blue that had become her trademark over the years. People turned their heads. Cameras flashed. You didn't just see Spice. You felt her. She wasn't just an artist. She was the moment. The queen of dancehall in her own right, and everyone knew it. Meanwhile, outside the venue, Saucy Santana was making his own grand entrance. He wasn't about to let anyone outshine him, least of all Spice. He stepped out of a sleek black SUV wrapped in an oversized white fur coat, diamond-encrusted shades, and a chain that sparkled under the nightlights, spelling out Material Girl in big, bold letters. The energy he carried with him was loud, flamboyant, and impossible to ignore. Santana had built his brand on being unapologetically himself, and this night, he was dialed all the way up. What most people didn't know was that tension between Santana and Spice had been brewing for months. Rumors had been floating around ATL's music circles like smoke in the wind. Some whispered that Santana felt Spice had been throwing shade during interviews, slick comments, subtle jabs, things only insiders would catch. Others claimed Spice was tired of Santana constantly mentioning her name, riding the wave of her success to keep his own buzz alive. Still, up until that night, none of it had ever been addressed directly. They'd been in the same rooms before, smiled for the same cameras, even exchanged polite words. But this time was different. This time, a storm was already waiting in the air before they even locked eyes. Spice arrived first, greeting fans, laughing loudly, and soaking in the love. She was glowing with confidence, fresh off a hot single and some big career wins. She didn't seem worried about Santana or anyone else. But the moment his entourage rolled in, the atmosphere shifted. It wasn't loud, not yet, but people in the room felt it. Two big energies had just entered the same space, and everyone could sense the static between them. Their paths were destined to cross that night. A mutual friend, or maybe a messy instigator. Depending on how you look at it, I thought it would be cute to bring them together for a quick photo. After all, they were both stars. What could go wrong? The cameras started clicking as they stood side by side. Spice, ever the professional, put on a cool smile. Santana smirked, adjusting his shades. To most people, it might have looked like two stars posing for the press. But those who really paid attention could see it. The tension behind those smiles. Santana leaned in closer than necessary, just enough for only Spice to hear. He whispered something sharp, a slick little comment that hit her like a spark to dry wood. Instantly, her smile dropped. Her eyes narrowed. "What did you just say to me?" Spice demanded, her Jamaican accent cutting through the music like a blade. Santana's laugh came out loud and mocking, almost theatrical. "Oh, don't act brand new now," he said with a dramatic wave of his hand. "You know exactly what I said." People nearby froze, unsure whether to keep mingling or get out their phones. But of course, this was Atlanta. Phones started popping up like popcorn. The crowd knew something was about to go down. Spice stepped back, squared her shoulders, and faced Santana head-on. Her voice carried across the room. "You always got my name in your mouth. Every minute is Spice this, Spice that. You don't have nothing else to talk about but me." Santana rolled his eyes so hard it almost looked rehearsed. "Please, don't flatter yourself. I am the moment. I don't need you to shine. You're the one who can't handle somebody else taking up space." The crowd gasped. This was no subtle shade anymore. This was a direct hit. Spice shot back without missing a beat. "You think this little social media fame make you on my level? Baby, I've been doing this before you even learned how to hold a mic. Don't ever try me." The two stars were now fully surrounded. What was supposed to be a glamorous party had turned into a showdown. Even other celebrities at the event stepped back, some trying to calm the tension, others secretly enjoying the spectacle. Santana tilted his head, voice rising. "If you're the queen, then why you always pressed about me? Why your fans always talking about Santana this, Santana that? Sounds like you scared, Miss Queen?" Spice took a step closer. She wasn't scared, she was ready. "Scared of you? Never. But you've gone respect my name. You want to use my wave to stay relevant? Then at least admit it." It was at that moment Spice brought up a private conversation they'd had months ago. Something Santana probably thought she'd never say in public. She claimed he'd told her that mentioning her name helped keep him trending. The room erupted in gasps. Santana's jaw dropped, his whole demeanor changing from smug to furious in seconds. "Oh, we going there now?" He shot back. "You want to talk about secrets? Then let's talk about how you tried to get me blacklisted from that Atlanta show last month." "Yeah, don't act innocent." Phones zoomed in. Influencers whispered. Someone even shouted, "Oh, it's up now." Spice's eyes flashed. "You lying through your teeth. I don't need to blacklist no one. You do that to yourself with your loud mouth." Foring, their voices grew louder. The beat from the DJ faded as if even the music knew it wasn't needed anymore. All eyes were on them. Santana pointed at her, shaking with anger. "You've been playing with me for too long, Spice. I let it slide before. Not tonight. Tonight, I'm done." Spice crossed her arms and shot back. "You could never play in my league, Santana. Remember who opened the doors before you even walked in the building?" The crowd exploded in OHHHH, like they were front row at a rap battle. Security started moving in, trying to keep things from going left. But even as they stepped closer, neither of them backed down. Spice's crew moved to her side. Santana's entourage closed in on him. The air felt like it could shatter Dot just before they were pulled apart. Spice shouted across the room, "Keep my name out your mouth, or I'll give you something real to talk about." Santana laughed that big, dramatic laugh of his and blew her a kiss as he was escorted toward the exit. "You can't cancel a material girl," he yelled, making sure every phone caught it. The room was buzzing, half shocked, half entertained. What started as a party had turned into a legendary showdown, and everyone knew the internet was about to eat this up. By the next morning, clips from the confrontation were all over social media. Headlines read things like "Spice versus Santana," "ATL party turns into showdown," and "the Queen of Dancehall versus the Material Girl." Memes flooded timelines. Fans picked sides. And the feud that had been simmering quietly for months was now front and center for the whole world to see. And this was only the beginning. By sunrise, Atlanta wasn't just buzzing, it was on fire. What happened between Spice and Saucy Santana at the party had spread like wildfire. Every blog, gossip page, and fan account had a clip. Some people uploaded shaky phone footage from different angles. Others clipped together clean edits with captions like "the feud we didn't know we needed" and "Queen versus Material Girl." The confrontation was everywhere, and so were the opinions. Fans quickly split into camps. On one side were the Spice loyalists, who saw her as a trailblazer being disrespected by someone who hadn't earned their stripes yet. "Santana needs to put some respect on Spice's name." One tweet read, "She is the blueprint. Don't forget that." Others went even harder, accusing him of clout chasing. On the other side were Santana's fans, the ones who loved his energy, his boldness, his refusal to back down. "He don't bow to nobody," another post said. Spice thought she could sun him. Not today. Meanwhile, the blogs were eating it up. Gossip shows ran entire segments replaying the moment Santana leaned in and whispered into Spice's ear. Nobody knew exactly what he'd said, but the mystery made it worse. People speculated wildly. Some claimed it was a personal insult. Others thought it was a jab at her career. And a few swore he said something about her look that night. Whatever it was, it lit the fuse. Whatever it was, it lit the fuse. Spice, never one to sit quietly, went live the next afternoon. The blue hair was back on full display. Lashes, flawless lips, glossed. She was ready to talk. "Let me tell Unu something," she began, her Jamaican accent sharp and deliberate. "I don't bother nobody. I mind my business. But when people keep on poking at me Hafi, answer. Santana been talking slick for months, and I let it slide. But last night, he crossed the line. And when you cross me, you better be ready for the fire that come after." Her words hit the internet like another explosion. Within minutes, the live had tens of thousands of viewers. Fans flooded the comments with blue hearts, fire emojis, and messages like, "Talk your talk, queen. And we got your back." She wasn't crying. She wasn't breaking down. She was fiery and unbothered. The same woman who built her career on standing her ground. Hours later, Santana responded the way everyone expected, with a slick, shaded Instagram story. He didn't say her name directly, but everyone knew who he was talking about. Some people can't handle it when the new energy walk in the room. The text read over a selfie of him holding a glass of champagne. "Stop acting like the world revolves around you." But that wasn't enough. Santana eventually went live too. He was in full glam, sitting in front of a ring light, his energy calm but cutting. "Y'all acting like I disrespected a queen," he said with a smirk. "Baby, let's be real. Ain't nobody disrespected her. I just spoke facts. She mad because people love me too. She mad because the spotlight don't belong to her alone no more. That's the real tea." Fans flooded the comments. Some cheered him on. Others dragged him for talking slick but never saying her name. But the one thing everyone agreed on: this feud was real. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, producers from Love and Hip Hop Atlanta were practically rubbing their hands together. This wasn't just good TV, this was ratings gold. The next few days became a chess game. Neither Spice nor Santana wanted to look like they were chasing clout, but both knew they couldn't ignore what was happening. Their feud had become the biggest story in the franchise. And every cast member was picking sides, whether they liked it or not. Some of their mutual acquaintances tried to step in. One of them, a castmate who had known both stars for years, called a peace brunch. This was supposed to be neutral ground, no cameras, no pressure. But as soon as word of the brunch leaked online, fans were already speculating about a second blow-up. The brunch never even made it to dessert. Spice showed up first. Dressed head to toe in royal blue, the message clear. She was walking in as the queen. Santana strolled in minutes later wearing a t-shirt that said "Unbothered." The room tensed immediately. "Hi," Spice said coolly. "Hey, girl," Santana replied, with the kind of smile that wasn't a smile at all. The air felt like it was holding its breath. The mutual friend tried to start the conversation, saying something about clearing the air and not letting fans control the narrative. But both of them were already on edge. Santana leaned forward. "You really went on live talking about me like I'm some random," he said, tone calm but loaded. Spice didn't hesitate. "Because you were talking about me like I'm some random. You whisper in my ears, disrespect me in front of people, and then act like you innocent. That's why I talk." Santana laughed under his breath. "Baby, I whispered the truth. You just didn't like it." That was it. The brunch table went from awkward silence to open war. They started going back and forth, throwing verbal jabs across the table like grenades. Spice accused him of trying to ride her wave to stay relevant. Santana said she couldn't handle seeing someone else shine. Spice clapped back. "I don't need to compete with nobody. I am the competition." The mutual friend tried to intervene, but it was useless. Santana leaned back, sipping his mimosa. "See, that's the problem. You think the world revolve around you? Don't the spotlight big enough for both of us, but you don't want to share." Spice shook her head slowly, then looked him dead in the eye. "The spotlight big enough, but you walk in like you built the stage. Remember who opened them doors before you even walk in. Remember who was out here putting ATL on the map when you was still learning your name?" The brunch was officially over. They both walked out before the food even hit the table, cameras outside waiting to catch the moment. By that evening, the hashtag Spice vs Santana was trending again. Their feud wasn't cooling down. It was growing. Alliances were forming inside the cast. Fans were going to war in comment sections. Blogs were releasing exclusive sources. Producers were already planning how to turn this real-life mess into television gold. What started as a whisper at a party was now shaping up to be the feud that defined the season. And neither Spice nor Santana seemed ready to back down. If anything, they were just getting started. Within just a few days, what had begun as a fiery confrontation between Spice and Saucy Santana had turned into a full-blown cultural moment. The feud wasn't just trending online anymore. It had crossed into podcasts, morning talk shows, and mainstream gossip sites. Headlines screamed about the queen versus the material girl, and memes flooded timelines. Comment sections became mini battlefields where fans were arguing, defending and dissecting every facial expression, every line, and every side-eye from that infamous night. Producers of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta saw the frenzy as the perfect setup for the next on-camera collision. The original plan had been to let the situation cool off before arranging a cast event where they could maybe address things in a more controlled way. But there was nothing controlled about Spice and Santana's energy. Cooling off was not in their vocabulary. Both of them were too proud, too loud, and too loved to let the other one have the last word. Behind the scenes, the cast was split down the middle. Some, especially the Og Atlanta crew who'd been with Spice for years, stood firmly behind her. They viewed Santana as the new kid on the block, talented, loud, yes, but not someone who had paid the dues Spice had. "You can't come in here and disrespect the queen of ATL like that," one cast member reportedly said. "She built this house. He just walked through the door." But not everyone felt that way. Santana had built his own following, fiercely loyal, fiercely protective, and just as loud as he was. A few of the younger cast members vibed with his confidence. "Spice don't own the game," someone argued during a production meeting. "There's room for more than one star. Santana ain't scared, and I respect that." The producers knew they didn't have to manufacture anything. This was real. A few days later, the entire cast was scheduled to appear at a promotional brunch for the new season. It was supposed to be a polished, press-friendly event with cameras rolling, the kind of thing where everyone smiled through their teeth, gave sound bites about growth and boss moves, and then went home. But with Spice and Santana on the same guest list, everyone knew it was going to be chaos. Spice showed up first, looking like royalty. Long blue hair cascading down her back, sharp eyeliner, a body-hugging outfit that screamed unbothered and unshakable. Her entrance was deliberate. She wanted the world to see that she wasn't hiding, wasn't intimidated, wasn't backing down. Santana arrived fashionably late. As usual, the cameras swarmed. He stepped out of his car wearing an oversized fur vest, rhinestone boots, and enough attitude to fill the whole venue. When he walked in, he didn't look around for anyone. He walked straight to his table like he owned it. The tension was immediate. You could feel it, the shift in the room. Other cast members exchanged nervous glances. Security quietly took their positions. A few producers whispered into their headsets. They weren't even seated at the same table. But Santana made sure to make a comment loud enough for her to hear. He said, fanning himself dramatically. Smells like jealousy in here. Spice didn't even turn around at first. She took a sip of her drink, let the silence stretch just long enough to sting, then looked over her shoulder and replied coolly, jealousy. Baby, if I wanted what you got, I'd have had it years ago. The room gasped. Cameras zoomed in instantly. Santana smirked, brushing invisible dust off his fur vest. You still talking like it's your world? Newsflash, boo. The game don't revolve around you anymore. Spice leaned back in her chair, one eyebrow raised. You're so busy trying to prove you the moment, you forgot I built the moment. Don't play with me, Santana. That was all it took for the brunch to turn into an arena. Within minutes, both of them were standing, voices rising, throwing verbal punches across the room. Santana accused her of being threatened by him. Spice clapped back that she didn't have to be threatened by someone who was still riding her coattails. You stay using my name to keep yourself relevant, Spice snapped. Every interview, every little slick comment, it's always me. You love me too much to admit it. Santana laughed in her face. Girl, please. You're not a storyline, you're just loud. I built my own thing. I don't need your dusty crown. The other cast members tried to step in, but it was pointless. The cameras were capturing reality TV gold. And neither of them was letting this moment go. Spice walked closer, lowering her voice just enough to make it more dangerous. You've been poking at me for months. I gave you grace. But now? Now I'm done playing nice. Keep my name out your mouth or I promise you'll regret it. Santana tilted his head, giving her that same taunting smile he wore the night of the party. Girl, threats don't scare me. I don't do under queens. I am the energy. Security began to close in as their crews stood up behind them. The whole room was seconds away from erupting. Then, out of nowhere, Santana said something he'd kept tucked away, something that changed everything. You mad 'cause you know why Zell really left me? He shouted. You mad 'cause you've been waiting to use that against me? Go on, say it. The room went silent. Spice froze for half a second, clearly not expecting him to bring that up. The producers perked up. The audience watching from their screens would later describe this moment as the plot twist nobody saw coming. Santana kept going. Yeah, let's talk about how you've been running your mouth to people about my business. You want to act high and mighty, but you messy, just like everybody else. Spice's eyes narrowed. You brought it up, not me. Don't start crying when the truth comes out. People in the room were whispering now, phones shaking as they tried to record everything. The Zell situation had been low-key gossip behind the scenes. Rumors about Santana's relationship troubles with Zel Swag. Whispers about betrayals and why things ended so suddenly. Until now, no one had dared speak on it out loud. Santana pointed directly at Spice. You don't care about me? You don't care about no loyalty. You just love the spotlight, and you'll burn anybody to keep it shining on you. Spice crossed her arms, unbothered but sharp. Loyalty. Coming from you. That's rich. You can't even keep the people close to you from running away. Don't blame me for what Zell did. Maybe look in the mirror. The room exploded in gasps. That line was the spark that sent the feud to an entirely new level. Security finally stepped between them as Santana's voice cracked. Shouting over the noise, Spice didn't yell back this time. She just smirked. Calm, lethal, and satisfied. The producers knew then and there. This wasn't just a feud anymore. This was a war with personal stakes, with secrets, with real emotions. And now Zell's name was in the mix. The rest of the brunch was chaos. Santana stormed out with his crew behind him. Spice stayed seated, fixing her hair like nothing had happened, giving a calm interview to producers who ran over to catch her reaction. "This is what happens when people can't handle a real queen," she said smoothly. "He wants to play with me. Fine, I'll give him a show." That night, Twitter and TikTok were a circus. Clips of the Zell moment trended with captions like "the tea is scalding" and "Spice held nothing back." Santana's fans rallied to defend him. Spice's fans celebrated her queen energy. And Zell, who had been quiet about the situation for weeks, suddenly became the most talked about person on social media. The feud had just escalated from industry shade to something deeply personal, and no one was backing down. The brunch had cracked open a door neither Spice nor Saucy Santana could close anymore. The moment Zell's name slipped out of Santana's mouth, their feud stopped being just entertainment. It became personal, raw, and layered with old secrets. By the next morning, social media was on a warpath. Every fan page, every gossip blog, every messy Twitter account had one word on their lips: Zell. Clips of the confrontation were everywhere. Why Zell really left Santana was trending, and people were flooding Zell's DMs and comments, demanding answers for weeks. Rumors had circulated quietly in ATL circles about what happened between Zel Swag and Santana, but no one had ever gone public. Now, with Spice and Santana's feud boiling over, the world wanted receipts. Zell stayed silent. Not a tweet, not a post. But silence only made the story louder. Gossip sites were inventing narratives by the hour: cheating rumors, betrayal, money issues. Some claimed Zell and Spice had been talking behind Santana's back. Others swore Santana had been the one pushing Zell away. Whatever the truth was, the mess was only fueling the fire. Spice wasn't backing down either. A few hours after brunch, she posted a picture on Instagram, sitting in a luxury car with blue nails, captioning it, "A queen never explains. She reigns." The comment section exploded. Her fans flooded it with crown emojis, while Santana's fans called her fake, messy, and calculated. Then Santana went live, sitting in front of a ring light, lashes sharp, lips glossed. He looked calm, but anyone who really knew him could hear the fury beneath that smooth tone. "I'm tired of everybody acting like I started this," he began. "She's been talking about me for months, smiling in my face, but talking behind my back. Now all of a sudden, I'm the bad guy." Thousands of viewers joined in real time. His voice started to crack as he went on. "Everybody keeps asking about Zell. Y'all so messy. But since my name out here anyway, I'ma say this once. Ain't nobody perfect. Things between me and Zell didn't end because of no outside mess. It ended because people showed their true colors. And that's that." The live sent shockwaves. Not because he said too much, but because he said just enough. People started connecting dots that weren't even there, spinning theories like wildfire. Then, in what some called a chess move, producers of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta set up a cast event at one of ATL's most popular rooftop lounges. The vibe was supposed to be celebration, but everyone knew why they were really there. Spice arrived with her crew, calm, glowing, collected. Santana arrived 30 minutes later with his entourage, wearing black shades at night like a man ready for war. Zell, he walked in last. Alone, no crew, no entourage. Just quiet energy that made the entire room freeze. This was the first time all three of them had been in the same room since the feud exploded. You could feel the tension before a single word was said. Producers positioned the cameras strategically, knowing this was the kind of moment people would talk about for weeks. Spice leaned back on the velvet couch, crossing her legs like she owned the place. Santana stood near the bar, eyes locked on Zell. Zell didn't move. He just exhaled slowly, like a man who knew he was about to step into the storm. "Are we going to talk?" Zell said finally. "Or are we going to keep playing in front of cameras?" That was all it took. Santana snapped back. "Oh, so now you want to talk? Now that everybody out here running their mouth?" Zell didn't flinch. You started talking first, Santana. Don't act brand new. Spice tilted her head, her voice dripping with shade. Oh, looks like the real conversation finally ready to start. Santana shot her a look. Don't even start, Spice. This between me and him. Spice raised her brow. You made it about me the minute you said my name. The whole room tensed. It was a triangle no one could control. Spice on one side, Santana on the other. Zell standing dead center. Zell turned to Santana. You made it seem like I just left for no reason, like I betrayed you. But you know exactly why I walked away. And if you want to be messy and air things out, then let's really talk about what happened. The crowd of castmates went silent. Even the producers stopped whispering in their headsets. Santana shifted on his feet, trying to keep his composure. You walked away like a coward, he spat. I was the one holding everything down. You couldn't handle the spotlight. You couldn't handle me. Zell's jaw tightened. You were the spotlight. Everything was about you. Your image, your brand, your mouth. I was never your partner. I was your accessory. And the minute I didn't play along, you turned cold. The weight of his words hit the room like a punch. Spice leaned forward, not saying a word, just watching. Santana barked a laugh, but it wasn't real. It was shaky, defensive. You've really gone sit here and play the victim. Zell shook his head. I'm not the victim, but I'm done letting you act like you the only one who got hurt. Spice finally spoke. So all this, she said slowly, was really about you too. And now I'm the villain for saying what everybody already whispering about. Santana whipped his head toward her. You made it worse. You couldn't wait to drag me. You couldn't wait to turn this into your show. You wanted headlines, and now you've got M. Spice laughed, soft, sharp, dangerous. Baby, I don't need you for headlines. I am the headline. The tension snapped like a live wire. Santana stormed closer, pointing at her. You've been trying me since day one. Spice stood up, matching his energy. And you've been poking the bear since day one. You want smoke? I'm here for it. Security moved in instantly, holding them back just inches apart. Zell stayed rooted to the spot, eyes lowered. This wasn't just two stars arguing anymore. This was history, heartbreak, ego, and betrayal colliding in real time. Y'all both love the spotlight more than the truth, Zell finally said, his voice calm but heavy. That's why everything blew up. That's why we here. Not because of no shade. Because neither of you know when to let go. That line landed like a bomb. Santana froze, Spice blinked, and for a rare second, there was silence. The night didn't end with punches or slaps. It ended with Santana walking out, ripping off his shades, and disappearing into the Atlanta night. Spice stood in the center of the room, hair flawless, chin up, but her eyes colder than ever. Zell stayed behind, saying nothing more. This wasn't over. It was just the calm before another storm. Wasn't over. It was just the calm before another storm. For days after the rooftop blow-up, Atlanta felt like a pressure cooker. The feud between Spice and Saucy Santana had already taken over gossip blogs and fan forums. But now the fallout had its own rhythm. There were whispers in clubs, sidees at events, and even other castmates refusing to be in the same room with both of them. The entire Love and Hip Hop Atlanta cast knew one thing. The reunion episode was going to be explosive. Production had already started teasing it online. Promo clips ran with dramatic music, quick shots of Santana throwing off his mic, Spice adjusting her blue wig like she was stepping onto a battlefield, and Zel Swag sitting in between them with his jaw clenched. Fans were counting down the days like it was a heavyweight fight. The night of the reunion finally came. The set was designed like a royal court. Ironically, big velvet couches, gold trim, and spotlights blazing from every angle. It was a throne room, but no one was here to bow. The first few segments were tense but controlled. Producers carefully steering conversations through lighter drama between other cast members. But everyone knew what they were waiting for. As soon as the host turned to Santana and Spice, the air thickened. Now, the host began slowly. This season's biggest feud has been between two of the most outspoken people on this stage, Santana, Spice. The world's been watching. Let's talk about it. Santana tilted his chin up, sunglasses off, a small smirk playing at his lips. "Ain't nothing to talk about that everybody ain't already seen," he said. Spice leaned forward slightly, voice calm but cutting. "Oh, we gon' talk. Since you love the spotlight, let's give it to you." The crowd gasped lightly. Even the host took a breath. "Let's start at the beginning," the host continued. "The party." The whisper. "Santana, what did you say that night that started all of this?" Santana laughed, not because it was funny, but because he was ready. "I said exactly what I said. She ain't the only queen in the room. That's it. She'll act like that's a crime." Spice shook her head slowly, blue hair swinging. "No, baby, you didn't just say that. You leaned in my ear like you was trying to disrespect me in front of everybody. Don't play innocent now. You knew exactly what you was doing. Girl, I'm not scared of you. I don't need you to be," Spice shot back. "I just need you to keep my name out your mouth." The host tried to calm the tension, but the audience was already leaning forward in their seats. Cameras zoomed in on every blink, every twitch. This wasn't just a scene. It was a showdown months in the making. Santana turned to Zell. "You know how she be, messy, loud, always trying to be the moment. That's why everything got blown out of proportion." Zell stayed silent for a beat too long. Then he finally spoke. "Santana, don't put this on her like you innocent. You know, we had problems long before Spice got involved." Santana's face hardened. "Oh, so now you're talking her side." Zell sighed deeply. "I'm not talking anybody's side. I'm just tired of the performance. You want to be mad at her? Be mad. But don't act like you didn't like this match." Spice crossed her arms. Finally, some truth. Santana whipped his head back toward her. "You love this, don't you? You love sitting there acting like you the victim. Like everybody just picking on the poor queen of dancehall." Spice's voice dropped low. Dangerous. "Victim? Nah, baby. I'm the storm that come after people forget who they talking to." The audience reacted instantly. Screams, claps, messy laughter. Santana stood up. Spice didn't flinch. Zell put his hand on his forehead like he knew where this was heading. The host tried again to reel it in. "Santana, Spice, let's talk about Zell's name being brought up. That moment at brunch changed everything. Why bring that up on camera?" Santana paced slowly across the stage. "Because she'd been running her mouth about me behind the scenes. Everybody want to act like I just went crazy out of nowhere. But she was in people's ears talking about my business like it was hers to tell." Spice didn't deny it. "I wasn't talking about you. I was telling the truth when people asked. Don't want your business out there? Don't make your business messy." The crowd roared. Santana threw his hands up in frustration. Zell finally raised his voice, loud enough to cut through the chaos. "Enough, both of you. Y'all been using my name as a weapon, like I ain't a real person. That's not cool. Yeah, me and Santana had our mess. But I didn't need Spice to fight my battles. And I don't need Santana to use me as a shield." The room fell silent. Zell's voice carried a weight neither of them could ignore. He turned to Santana. "You know why I left? It wasn't her. You made everything about you, and I couldn't breathe in that. Then to Spice. And you turned this into a circus. I know you didn't mean to at first, but you fed the fire because it made you look untouchable. Now look where we at." Spice's face softened just a little. Not enough to show weakness, but enough to show she heard him. Santana looked away, jaw tight. The host stepped in again. "So what now? Is there any way this ends without it getting uglier?" Spice tilted her head. "I don't need to be friends with him. But I don't gotta talk about him either. Just stay out my lane." Santana exhaled through his nose. "Same goes for you. I'm done giving you headlines for free." It wasn't forgiveness. It was a cold truce. The crowd didn't clap. They didn't need to. They could feel the shift. This wasn't about who won anymore, it was about boundaries, being drawn like chalk lines after a storm. As the reunion wrapped, Zell walked off quietly, shoulders lighter but face unreadable. Santana fixed his hair in the mirror backstage, posting a story that read, "Unbothered. Always will be." Spice went straight to her dressing room, posting her own cryptic caption, "A queen doesn't compete. She reigns." The internet lit up again that night, but the tone was different. People weren't just picking sides. They were dissecting every glance, every line, every micro-expression. Fan theories spun out like wildfire. But one thing was clear. This feud had changed the energy of the entire show. And somewhere deep down, even though neither would admit it, both Santana and Spice knew this wasn't the end. It was just the latest chapter in a battle that would keep the world watching. If you enjoyed the tea, the shade, and the chaos, then make sure you don't just scroll away. Hit that like button, subscribe to stay locked in for all the next twists, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Whose side are you really on? This story is just heating up, and you already know the reunion energy isn't going anywhere. Turn on notifications so you don't miss the next messy moment. Don't miss the next messy moment.